This is Thriving Chiropractors, where chiropractors supporting chiropractors and talking to chiropractors that are thriving beyond the four walls of their practice. This is Dr. Austin Cohen here with Thriving Chiros, and we are here with Dr. Dawn. Thank you so much for being here today, by the way.
You're welcome.
And what we do with Thriving Chiros is we help chiropractors not just survive, but we show them how to thrive. And we bring on successful chiropractors in here to really share value with all of you, so you understand what it looks like for all of us in the trenches of running a successful practice. And really, that's one of the biggest things that the Life Alumni Association wanted to provide value for through Thriving Chiros. So, thank you so much for being here today. This is great. I know you graduated a few years ago, and we were just talking a second ago, and you're already a multi-unit, which is great.
Yes.
So congratulations with that. But I think the question, so just so you know, we like to go straight into it. Just
all
heads
right.
up, okay?
Yep.
All your story will be in the show notes, so everyone will get to see that. But
okay, awesome.
For us, one of the opening questions when we kind of dive into it is, if you look back over the last 6 years of your career here, and you think about maybe a pivotal moment or a decision, because I'm assuming when you graduated school was very different than how you are now, mindset-wise, in a lot of different areas.
Sure.
Can you think of any decisions you've made, or a pivotal moment, or a transitional moment you had that really shifted your mindset and practice?
So I graduated in 2018 from chiropractic school, but I would have to say my that transition moment was actually before. I was a nurse prior to starting chiropractic school, very medical minded, and then it was that vitalistic switch that really took me across to the other way. It just completely changed my place, what I was doing, how I was thinking about things. And it really was, we had my daughter, my second child. She is a perfect storm child. So a lot of, we had delivery issues during pregnancy, pregnancy challenges. And then she didn't talk. No eye contact in the first few years of life. And just the things that I dealt with her, I went medically and I didn't find answers. And what
year was this?
So she was born in 2003. So I would say 2005, 6. In those time frames, she had crazy constipation. The medical field wanted me to put her on Miralax. And even I was a nurse working in the medical field, but it was just difficult. Who wants to put their 3-year-old child on Miralax? And then if you research Miralax at all, you sure as heck don't want to put your child on Miralax. And so a friend referred us to a chiropractor, a local chiropractor. Wow. I'd never seen a chiropractor.
What was your mindset going into that appointment, by the way?
You know what? You try anything for your child. And that's where I was. We had lost all our hope. We were at the place where we didn't know what else to do. You know what I mean? And you have kids, right? Yeah. So you would do anything for your kids. And this gave me just a little bit of hope. I didn't know, like I said, when I thought chiropractors were for back and neck pain, maybe headaches, not kids at all. But it completely shifted my mindset. And that, now he wasn't a graduate of Life, but he has kids that graduated Life. Dr. Craig Huffer is who we saw back in Ohio. And he was amazing, an amazing communicator of chiropractic. And so he really opened my eyes to how this works, why this works. And before you knew it, we were all getting adjusted. And then I ended up going back to school. So I would say that was just a crazy pivotal moment. Yes, there's been moments in practice too, but changed the whole trajectory. I mean,
mindset shift.
Well, and everybody thought we were crazy. My husband and I both had great jobs. I mean, I was a nurse, worked in the hospital. He was a project manager for Procter & Gamble. Everybody's like, what are you doing? We were from Ohio. We picked up our family. We moved down here where we had no family, but wouldn't change any of it.
Okay, pause real quick. Wait, just don't do this a lot.
Okay.
It'll become distracting because you're also on video, just a heads up.
Yeah, no,
so, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I was like, can be
sorry.
Stop.
You know what? I told you this is new.
I know, it's okay.
Yeah.
You get that last, Okay, cool.
Okay.
All right, cool. No worries.
It's just nervous.
No. It's all good.
Okay.
That was actually a great answer. But no, during a podcast, if somebody's doing like this and there's video on it can be distracting. It's all good though. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to go into a little bit like kind of chiropractic journey now when you started school too, or kind of going through school and then even like a little after. But this will be easy. You're doing great, by the way. You're awesome at this. That was actually a really good story too.
Thanks.
That's such a great story. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, the mindset shift of just going from, I guess, from a nurse and you pick everything up, you come down here. What was it like being in chiropractic school? I mean, after everything you've learned in nursing school, then to come down here in chiropractic school, what was that experience like?
You know what? It was awesome.
Yeah.
It couldn't have been any better because by this time we had changed diets. I mean, when we started, we ate fast food. We were busy parents. Like, we knew no different. If you don't know any different, then you aren't going to do different. And so coming down, it was like we were put in this bubble of greatness. So life was the perfect place. And like I said, the chiropractor that we were seeing, he didn't graduate from Life, but he's like, I wouldn't go anywhere but Life now. And so we came down here to Life Leadership Weekend, and it was like, this was it.
Did you feel like you were home, like when you came here, were you like, yes, these are my people?
Yeah. And even without family, you know what I mean? We didn't have our family here, but this became our family. This became our home. I
think one thing that's cool, if I was a listener right now of this, my takeaway would be, how do I create this?
Yeah.
Right. Like as a chiropractor, like how do I create and take somebody who's maybe mindset, like you said earlier, is like neck and back pain, and how do I get them to think, wow, like there's a whole different thing for chiropractic? And what I love is like, we were talking about Dr. Ebel earlier, and you've got the Experience Miracles, and I know your PX doc, which is awesome. And I've heard you use the word perfect storm, already.
Yep.
So you graduate chiropractic school, and what was that experience like? I mean, when you're a nurse, you go work for a hospital, right?
Right.
When you're a chiropractor, you either go work for a chiropractor, you open up your own clinic, you become an associate somewhere, a lead doctor somewhere. There's so many different options. Like, what was kind of your mindset going through as you graduated?
Sure. So I'm a perfectionist. Even that last year in school, there was no way I was starting to practice. Now, my husband's been on this journey with me. He's not a chiropractor. I say he should be an honorary chiropractor just because he was my ortho patient. He could probably tell you all the positives and negatives of ortho tests and all of that. But we did this together, and he was set. We were opening a practice because of the impact that chiropractic had on our life. He wanted to be able to do that for other parents. I mean, truly, that is why we're here. That's why we're on this journey. And so I was all set up to do my peak experience at a local doc, because I had kids, right? Like, I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to travel. This office saw kids, and I knew that was my passion. I wanted to take care of kids, but I was all set up to do an internship down here. And I was on Facebook one night scrolling and saw Dr. Tony Ebel posted he was looking for interns. And we were sitting on the front porch. It's emotional because this was a pivotal place in my journey too. But I was sitting there and I told him, because we had followed Dr. Tony Ebel because of the perfect storm. And when you get into chiropractic, you find those that match your values, right? And your story and what you need at that time. And so we had watched every video he had at that time, which wasn't near like he has now, right? He doesn't shut up now. But, and so I said, Dr. Tony's looking for interns. And he's like, you're going. And I'm like, but what about the kids? What are we going to, are we all going to go? And so I went up there, stayed in an Airbnb for 6 months by myself, left my kids and husband. He had to learn how to do laundry, had never did laundry in our years of marriage. And so I went up there and I learned so much in that 6 months. And I tell students all the time, we help with the PX Club down here now at Life. And I say all the time, I'm like, that internship, that peak experience is pivotal. Like, finding a good peak doc where they're going to let you in the trenches. They're going to let you do the day ones and day twos. They're going to let you adjust and show you the business side. I know every peak experience is so different, right? I've spoke to so many students that have had amazing ones and some that maybe not as amazing. And that was a pivotal part in that awesome. 6 months. So I started there in October. I remember my husband came up in December. just shadowed in the office because, like I said, he was set from the beginning. He knew he's our visionary. He really is more the one that is the visionary. But I'm like, I think I can do this. And so in January we started looking for places. We knew we had always said we were going to go back to Ohio, but there's a lot of chiropractors here, but a lot of chiropractors that want to see everybody. We wanted to specialize. I wanted to be that pediatric specialist that when there was a perfect storm mom that their kid is going to put a hole in my wall or whatever they're going to do, I wanted them to have a safe, comfortable space. And within the first week of our practice, brand new space, we did our build out. One of the kids rolled one of our stools down the hall and put a hole in our back door. But it was okay. Yeah. And they knew that this was a safe place. And so that's what we've created.
I love that. I think, going back to your story of your peak experience, one thing I always try to just get to in the brain of either my docs or other chiropractors, you got to do the have-tos to get to do the want-tos. And so one of my things was, no one wants to do events, like screenings on the weekends, of course, right?
Right.
But you have to do those things in the beginning, of course.
Right.
I actually went to Norfolk, Virginia for my peak experience, not because I wanted to, but because I knew the experience was going to be so good. The chiropractor up there was extremely successful, and I went on Craigslist and found the person who I was going to stay with. It was like $500 for a month or whatever. I had to stay in her room. And the only rule was, which was frustrating to me, was I had to leave the door open every day when I left because she wanted to make sure her cats felt like they had freedom, in their place. It was the weirdest experience ever because I'd come home and there was a cat on my pillow, but I'm like, whatever, I don't care. I'm like, but I look back and think that was the greatest experience. Now, I was married at the time, and so for me, it was tough to leave my spouse for 10 to 11 weeks, but for me, it was a matter of making that sacrifice that was going to create years of gains.
For sure.
And I think some people can only see right here of what's in front of them, but they can't see bigger. Obviously, your husband, as you said, is a visionary, right? He can see more than just 5 feet in front of him.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a key thing of people they cannot see beyond.
You know what?
That.
And I'm not good at that. I'm not good at seeing beyond, but he is the other side, and he helps me to see that. So we work good together in that way.
Have you ever read the book Traction?
No.
It's a book, and it's all about people. There's a visionary, and then there's an integrator, and there's different seats. Now, most chiropractors who have their own businesses, they act as all, which is not running a business. Essentially, they just own a job. They don't own a business, which is two different things. And so they're doing everything and trying to be everything for everybody. You can't do that. They're either the visionary or they're the integrator. And some people think they're the visionary, and the reality is they're actually a better integrator. It's a really good book, by the way, Traction.
And I've heard those terms. There's a coach somewhere. Yeah. So
it's great. I think one thing that'd be interesting is now that you've been doing this for 6 years, who are some of your mentors, not just even in chiropractic, but who are people you look up to right now?
So there are great chiropractors. I will always look up to Dr. Craig Huffer. I will always look up to Dr. Tony Ebel and really his team. He has an amazing team that I've learned so much from Dr. Matt Hill. I love podcasts. I can't remember.
You took my next question, actually, by the way. It's going to be what's on your podcast and Audible list right now.
You know what? We don't have Audible anymore because there's so many good podcasts. Oh my gosh, we were just talking about him. I can't think.
Is he a business guy?
Yes, he is a business guy.
Ooh, now I'm intrigued by this. Is it Alex Hormozi?
No, I have not gotten into him.
John Maxwell?
No. Well, yes, I love John Maxwell, but okay.
You'll have to come back to that one and think about who that is, because now I'm really intrigued. I love how I built this. I don't know if you've listened to that or not. Where the interviewee, he interviews all these people who own, Lululemon, the founder of Chipotle, the founder of, probably the owner of who founded this right here. It's pretty interesting. Actually, he talked to the founder of Atari. This is a crazy story. And he was talking to the founder of Atari, and he said, who used to work for the founder of Atari was actually Steve Jobs. And when Steve Jobs was working there, he said to the founder, he said, hey, listen, I'm quitting this company, but I'm about to start another company. It's called Apple. If you give me $50,000, I'll give you a third of the company. And the guy goes, dude, you're an idiot. Get out of here. And he looks back and says the biggest regret he's ever had is not giving Steve Jobs $50,000 for $1 trillion company.
Sure. Ed Milet's my favorite.
Oh, have you ever heard him speak?
Not in person.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
He's the best. Actually, I've never cried during a speech before, a motivational talk. It's the only time I've ever cried. It is unbelievable how he can connect to your emotion. So are you listening to his book or his podcast? What do you listen to?
His podcast.
Podcast.
Yeah.
What's some of the biggest takeaways you've gotten from it?
You know what? He brings on amazing speakers there's just so much.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I can't just pick one thing. One of the latest ones, which I am, but he reminded me, I don't even remember who it was or who he was talking to, but you can't just work, you got to work in your business to know, once you get to the place where you should always be working someone in it. And that's what, before we started talking today, I was asking you, like, are you still working in your business? I mean, because you do. Like, that's how you know what needs fixed, right? Know what's working, what's not working. I mean, your team can tell you, but it's so important to know what's going on. And
yeah. And as time goes on, I mean, I think too, like right now, most chiropractors, I'd probably say one of the errors a lot of people make is they spend over probably 90% of their time in the business. Now, as time goes on, of course, there needs to be like that time that's committed to on the business, actually like true dedicated work time on the business, right? And I did that, for sure, like early on in career. But you're right, yeah. I mean, still in the business, still seeing like new processes maybe we need to implement, new systems we need to implement.
Right.
I don't know if you ever heard Ed Milet say this. One of my favorite things he says is, when you're going to heaven, have you heard this before? Who you're going to meet? So he says, when you go to heaven, the first person you're going to meet is like the best version of Don, who was going to be up there, and the potential that person had. And when you get there, that person's going to be like, you did it. You hit your potential. You did exactly what you're supposed to do. Or you're going to get there and that person's going to say, you really missed the boat. Mm-hmm. And I think about that all the time, right? Of like potential and, kind of like vision of where we're going. I mean, I think for you, it's like such a cool story to hear that pivotal shift from like nursing to chiropractic. And then now, obviously these two locations and the potential you guys have to really just make a huge impact, which is awesome.
Yeah.
What are some cool stories you've seen so far as far as in your practice?
Patient stories?
Yeah, patient stories. Like what's like one that kind of sticks out?
You know what? I think some of the biggest stories are when we bring in a perfect storm child that doesn't talk those first words. Like, you see a kiddo that, and some of them are older, like 5, 6, 7, that never didn't say words, and they start speaking, and mom, dad, like those parents, they're going to tell everybody about you. They're our biggest broadcasters, they're our biggest referral sources, and they're lifetime patients. Mm. So I think definitely those are the best parents that they can sleep, right? Because their kid's sleeping. I feel like I love what I do, and I love when parents get adjusted too. But it's the changes. Kids change quickly. You get nervous system chiropractic care in there on a kiddo, and an adult, it takes a lot longer, right? Like the kiddos don't have so much from the back, all those stressors, that buildup of stress. You know what I mean? And so we see miracle stories, I feel like, every day.
That's awesome. I mean, look, your shirt's got the whole...
you know what?
It's got it on there. Yeah, I mean...
For sure.
It's great. I mean, I love, I've been in this for 15 years now, and it's funny. I mean, just hearing you share these stories I love this profession more now than I did when I first started it.
Yeah.
And everyone used to say, no better time to be a chiropractor than now. And I never understood what that meant until now, where, 15 years in, like, you know what? I get it now. Still feel it.
Yeah, it gives me chills when you say it.
Oh,
like, it's an amazing profession. And I'm just thankful for the journey that I had to get here.
Yes.
What
a story too.
Well, and I think back, like there are times I'm like, oh my gosh, like you look back over your life and the things you went through, and there were some hard times. Like when Macy was at that stage, like I remember trying to put her in the car seat and she would have a tantrum, and like she was to the age where I could hardly get her in the car seat. And I'm like, what am I going to do when she gets a little bit older? Like, and just thinking back to those struggles, but I wouldn't change them for anything.
It's interesting. the most successful people I know beyond just chiropractors is how they handle hard times.
Yeah.
And all of us are gonna, yes, 2020 was a hard time for all of us, and it's not the last. There's gonna be other recessions, there's gonna probably other pandemics, and there could be wars, and who knows. But it's like the best leaders I know who built the best companies is how they respond and react to those hard times, and they don't pull back, they pour into it, just like bison going to the storm. To get out faster, it's the same thing. It's that exact same concept. So if you were to go back to 2018, and the 2024 version of Dawn was on the end of the stage, and the 2018 version is crossing the stage, getting their diploma, and that 2024 version could give advice to that 2018 version, what advice would you today give to that 2018 new grad coming off that stage?
Gosh, that's hard.
I know. That's the question that throws a lot of people off, because there's a lot, right? So.
Right. Like,
Or is there advice you would give to students right now that are going through school that, maybe they don't know what they want to do, or they're a little confused? Is there any advice you give to them as they kind of go through the process of school right now?
So one thing I do have one of those, like I said, I'm a perfectionist. I did great in school, but I worked hard. I studied hard. I wish I would have taken a little less time studying and a little more time in clubs. Like, I just feel like there's so much out there. Yes, you learn so much in school and you're getting what you need, but going that extra, like, I didn't, because I had young kids. And so when I was done with school at the end of the day, I really wanted to be home, but there were clubs that met at lunchtime. But I was studying, and I could have got through with a B, a C, but I didn't want, it was hard for me. It was just hard. So I say, get out there, get in clubs, get in offices, because go shadow anywhere. There's so many chiropractic offices around Life University. We have a lot of shadow students. I'm sure you have shadow students in your offices, and most docs are open to that, letting students come in and see what it's like. Do it. Like, this is your time. This is, when you're a student, you think you're busy. You have no idea, right?
It's interesting, right? Like law of attraction too. A lot of those students that I've found that when they go through school that make excuses for why they can't go visit offices and why they can't do clubs, when they graduate, they tend to come tell me and let me know, man, my patients, they're just too busy and they can't come in. And I'm like, mirror.
Yep, you're right.
You know what? Maybe you should start figuring out a way to not be busy and find the time, because other people are doing it.
So true.
And I love that advice, by the way. Get into clubs, shadow offices. That, I would say too, looking back, was one of the most transformational things that, me and my friends did. Yeah. Who have done very well in practice. So,
and you don't have to open a practice to be successful. We all need associates, and there's so many good offices out there that are looking for associates. So,
yeah, I'm glad you said that. We have 14 lead doctors in all of our clinics who do very well financially. And it's just a matter of knowing what you want.
Right.
Everyone thinks that they need to own their own practice because that's where the money is, or that's easier, there's more time off. And the reality is it's not actually.
No.
It's designed for some people for sure.
Yep.
But then also being a lead doc on a good team with good culture and good pay and being rewarded.
Right.
You can't replace that for anything in the world.
No, you can't. Especially during your busy stages when you're parents and yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for doing this today, by the way. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Love having you on here, and great story. And we're going to share your information, by the way, in the show notes, if that's cool with you.
Yep.
And thank you so much for listening to Thriving Chiros, and have a great day.